I need your guidance for this inheritance. I would love to use it wisely. Very nice. Maybe some of you are coming up and you might have an inheritance coming your way if you've been a good son or daughter. And so this could help you. So we'll see. Howdy, Chris. Howdy, Dom. Howdy. I am 31-year-old. I'm a 31-year-old listener, and I just received $12,500 in inheritance, and I am incredibly grateful for it. But I want to make sure I use it wisely and intentionally. I'd really appreciate your input on how to make the most out of this opportunity. Here's a snapshot of my current financial situation. Let's get into it. Income and living. I make $55,000 a year. I'm currently living with roommates, but one of my biggest financial goals is to eventually move out to my own place. Nice. That was a good goal. Current assets, about $1,000 in checking, $11,000 in savings with a 3.5% APY, which I contribute $675 monthly to. A 401k, $36,000, solid. And I contribute 10%, $458 per paycheck. Nice. Nice. Investments at Vanguard as well. And has the detailed stocks, but I don't need to get into that. Just know we'll say it's around $3,500. Now let's get on to the debt. Credit card consolidation loan, $4,200. Bank of America, $1,500. Care credit, $2,100, and monthly payments of $233. Note, this one is on a repayment plan, not affecting my credit score, which is currently at 780. That is very high. Congratulations. So that's where I stand. I've done a lot of hard work to get here, and I'm proud of the progress I've made. But also, I know that receiving a lump sum like this can either be a stepping stone or a missed opportunity. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what to prioritize: investing more, paying down debt, saving for the future housing, or something else. Thanks for creating a space where people like me can ask these questions without judgment. I truly appreciate it. From cash came fast, will it last? I have my inheritance in hand, but now I need a plan that'll stand. I like that. Well, congratulations on working hard and making something good out of yourself. This is an exciting time. Yeah, this is definitely an exciting time. So, Chris, what do you think? What's the big picture here? What are we thinking?
I want to make sure that I note that there's also a student loan in here that I think you might have missed. That's around $6,000 and that's currently in forbearance. So just want to make sure that that's put in there. So first off, I want to say congratulations on the inheritance, and I'm sorry for your loss. You know, unfortunately, for someone to receive inheritance means someone had to pass away. So I do apologize for that. But I do want to say, when it comes to your finances, well done. It really sounds like you have some pretty good and solid financial habits already, because it sounds like you're contributing to retirement, you're contributing to saving monthly, you're already investing regularly, and you're staying on top of debt, which is huge. For a 31-year-old, you sound like you're way ahead of the game. So what that means is that this inheritance is an opportunity, not a fix. You're not in a crisis, which means you get to have intention and strategy behind what you do with this money, which is way better than what most people that write into us. Most people say, hey, I got a $12,000 inheritance. I'm $95,000 in debt. How can I make these two things work? And when that happens, unfortunately, the math isn't mathing. So luckily for you, you're not in that situation. So what I would do is, it sounds like you already have an emergency fund. I think you said it's around $11,000. Now, obviously, I don't know what your expenses are, but at $11,000, I'm going to assume that's probably 3 months, maybe 4 months of savings. So I don't know what kind of job you have. I don't know if there's anyone that depends on you in any way, shape, or form. I don't know how quickly you are rehirable. But especially in this current political climate, current economic climate, I would say for many people, going ahead and topping off that emergency fund to be at more 3 to 6 months of bare bone expenses might be a good idea. So maybe we can park maybe $1,000 or $2,000 to that to extend out your one way just a little bit more. And if you can put more, that's wonderful. This is a big thing that I get a lot of questions on. Chris, if I have an emergency fund, can I also kind of use it as a house fund or a future goal fund? And I always say personal finance is personal, so you can do whatever you want. But since the biggest emotional goal you have is moving out on your own, maybe you remark some of the money over 4 months or 5 months or 6 months as your housing goal. You can call it like your freedom fund or your first apartment fund. And you can label it like, this is my money for that. So maybe we could set a target. So maybe it could be 1 month of 1 month rent and a deposit. And then we can have like a 1 or 2 month buffer. So that would probably be, I don't know, $5,000, $7,000, depending on what area you're in. I have zero idea where you are. So it makes it hard for me to make a determination. But you have the money to move that already, which is pretty cool because you already have quite a bit of savings. So it sounds like you're already setting yourself up for a pretty good situation. The one thing that does concern me is the credit cards. Now, I know in your letter, Dominic didn't really touch on this, but you have 2 cards that have very low APRs. Like, I don't know if it's an introductory or you did a balance transfer for 0 APR. My only concern is I don't know how long that's been going for. And I know with a lot of the 0 APR cards, and this is very important, if you don't pay them off in full by the time that 0 APR ends, some of the credit cards will retroactively apply the standard fee or the standard APR to the entirety of the loan, of what's remaining. So that could be huge. I don't know. Sometimes it ends at 12 months, sometimes it ends at 18 months, but you need to be aware of that. If it was me and I have credit card debt, for me, that's a hair on fire situation, because it doesn't matter how well your returns are in investing. If you have a credit card that's 15, 20, 25, 30% guaranteed interest, there's a very little chance that you're going to be able to guarantee. There's really no chance you're able to guarantee that I can be that in an investment. So those are the type of things that it's typically best to just take. I think you said you only have like $3 or $4 in credit card debt, $4,000. You take a third of the money that you got, throw it at the credit card debt, and you're done. The student loans, you said your APR is only at 3.67 or 76%. So I think that's super reasonable. There's no urgency there. And I would say that inheritance might be better used to have a bit of more of an emergency fund and to put closer towards the goal of moving out of the home and moving out on your own. But only you can make that determination. But it sounds like you have a stable enough income to just continue paying down that loan. You said it's only like $6,000, so not a huge issue.
Yeah, not crazy.
And the biggest thing is you're already investing, which is amazing. So that shows a lot of discipline. And you have a solid net worth with very low debt. So what I would do is maybe consider boosting some of your investments slightly and reduce how much money you're putting towards savings, because this inheritance can be a very great boost for you too. You're 31 years old. You can get onto a path to coast financial independence where maybe you no longer have to save ever again for your retirement, and you know you're going to be good. And the nice thing about that is now all you have to do is cover your cost of living, cover the right here and now, and not have to worry about the future. That is such a huge load off of people's backs, where most people go through life hoping that if I reach 65 or 75 or whatever, the government will just magically give me money for the rest of my life and I'll be able to make it. That sounds well and good. And Social Security will most likely still be there for our generation when we get there, but I believe it's going to be dramatically cut. And since pensions are gone, you really only have to depend on yourself. How much money you save for yourself in your retirement accounts, how much money you save in your savings, and how much money you can hope for with Social Security. But I would much rather take control of what I can control, which is my savings rate, how much I have for investments, rather than hoping that the government's going to come and save me, because we don't have that guaranteed. So if it was me and I had $12,500, and again, this is just me, I would take around $1,000 and I would add it to my emergency fund. Try to get maybe $2,000. Try to increase that by another month. I would pay off the loans, the credit card loans, which is around $4,000. That would just be done. I would then do some long-term investing, maybe take another $1,000 or $2,000 and put that into your long-term investments. The rest of it, before I did that, I would do a treat yourself. I don't know who you lost, but I would take $500 to $1,000 and just go have fun. Buy something you've been waiting for, go on a little trip. And then the rest of it, I'm putting that towards my first apartment fund, towards my get out of here fund, to be able to live on my own. And if God forbid something ever comes up and you have to tap into that money, that can also be an emergency fund. Again, you have your true emergency fund, but then you also have like a secondary emergency fund that you're acting right now as your first apartment. And this is a really important part when it comes to mindset reminders. It isn't about maximizing every penny. It's about using your money to build freedom, confidence, and optionality in your life. You're already playing the long game by investing and doing really, really well. So don't let analysis paralysis stall your motion. You're already doing good things. Just keep that momentum going. Keep working hard. This inheritance is a real blessing to you that's going to allow you to set yourself up even better. And the nice thing is you were already set up pretty damn well. So best of luck to you. No matter what you decide, I'm sure you're going to do fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I love about the Five Guys, right? Chris just gave some of the most practical advice I think I've ever heard, right? Not just dealing with the money side, but also the human aspect of it. And I love the idea that's like, hey, take 500 to 1,000, get something that you enjoy, right? It's not all about living for the future. We have to also live for today. And that's one of the things that most financial professionals don't talk about. They always forget about today. So don't forget to live for today and to plan for tomorrow. Thank you for writing in, and we hope that helps.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth.
The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.